All right, good morning, everyone. Here at Remax ACE, we're training this morning about objection handling. So why are we doing this? Because we want to overcome the no in our listing appointments. So it's super important to be smooth and know what to say when our clients throw up these objections. Well, let me just let some people in the room. So how do we overcome these no's? Well, we've got to know what sort of things that are regular that come at us during our listing appointments. So anybody want to talk a little bit about what do we hear in our listing appointments, the reasons why they won't sign with us right then and there? What are some normal things we hear? I have to think about it. Yeah.
Your commission is too high.
Commission, they want to argue the commission. Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of package you give?
Yeah. How are you going to market the property? Mm-hmm. I know somebody, I don't know if I want to use you because I know another realtor, right? I'm interviewing other realtors, right? Some of these objections are coming up. So I'm not sure I want to list again right now if you're chasing expired or terminated. So those are very often the ones we hear. So I just wanted to go over some of this housekeeping because I feel it's important now. I keep on saying, everyone says, oh, you know, the spring market, but this time of year is definitely our second most busy time usually. I mean, we haven't been following a usual trend lately with the interest rates, but usually the fall market is our second busiest market. We find sales pick up again in September and October. November, people want to close before Christmas, before the snow flies, before the end of the year, stuff like that. They want to be settled. So how do we make sure we're closing our listing appointments? Now, I just want to go over a few things quick, but I really want to get into it and try and role play a little bit because what I find is as many times as you guys see me and hear me, what you should say, unless you try to say it yourself and get into that interactive moment, you'll get stuck in the moment. When your client says, will you drop your commission? You go, and you don't really know what to say, right? So I'm sure you've seen this slide before. I've done it a lot. I always say, try to be the last agent. So if they're interviewing other agents, if they've told you that ahead of time, that I always try to be the last, because then they don't have to push me off saying, oh, I still want to hear what the other agents have to say. Oh, I'm interviewing 2 more people. Let me get back to you, right? Always be on time, obviously. Time is of the essence, but it also shows a sense of professionalism at the end of the day. Be a personable business person. So I believe in this a lot. People list with people they like, right? So at the end of the day, I always talk about getting more commission, and a lot of people say, oh, it's never going to work. But the thing is that I never signed for that 1%. And I always try to show them what value we have, but you also have to be a personal person. You have to be someone that they like, right? Because people are going to list with people that they like. Even if they don't like the guy and he's offering 1%, they might not list with him if they like you better. How do you become personable? So I would say I walk into people's houses and I would look for something to compliment, right? And people can sense when you're fake. So I always try to find something genuine. So I might walk up and say, oh, I really love your hostas, or oh man, I really like that picture on your wall, or wow, you've done a great job with the kitchen. It looks like mine. I have the same color. You want to find some kind of common ground. Personable means I like you, not just because you're popular or because you're, dressed nice or whatever, but we have something in common and I'm going to like you. So you try to come to a common ground with everybody. And I think that that's important because when you take that minute of time to become on a common ground with somebody, they feel like they know you and they like you more, right? So, and like I say, I never say anything unless I really truly mean it. If I hate the carpeting, I'm not going to say, oh my God, I don't think it comes out genuine. I always try to use something genuine. So I have a habit of looking around people's houses and just finding something like, oh my God, you have a kitty cat. I love the picture. You know what I mean? Something that I genuinely like. So the second thing is you want to use the consulting approach. So I try to use this more than the greasy salesman's approach. I'm not walking in trying to sell you on me. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to consult you. I'm trying to show you that I'll be there holding your hand through the process. I know about the sales in the neighborhood, and I know about, the market. I've got my finger on the temperature of the market right now, and I want to know what you need. What do you need? What's your reason for selling? What's the reason you need to move? How can I help you? Maybe you're moving from one space and you're upgrading and you're concerned. Maybe I'm going to sit down and crunch some numbers with you. You definitely want to show them that you're going to take that time and care with them, that little bit extra than just saying, oh, your house can sell for 1.2 and here's my commission and you should hire me. I'm the best agent in the world, right? They say don't talk about listing price until the end. It doesn't always work. People generally kind of want to know, but we have our whole listing presentation when I go over the CMA about why choose me, why choose my brokerage, how I'm going to market your property and all of that stuff. If they're pressing, I mean, we can switch around the presentation, but they say don't talk about listing price generally till the end because you want to get over the history of what's happening in the neighborhood and everything. If you come out right away, even though they think they can sell for 1.2, you really only think they can sell for 1 million, and you start off with that, they might totally disagree with you and get a bad feeling, right? Whereas if you go over your presentation, they can see you've done your research, then you say that, they might be more amicable to what you've come to for a listing price, right? And normally I don't even tell people what the listing price is right in the listing presentation because I'll give them a sort of a high, a medium, low, what's happening in the neighborhood. But I tend to tell them if they say, okay, we're going to list by next weekend, I always say to them, we're going to decide on a final price right before we list. Because I really want to know what's happened in the last week in your neighborhood before I'm throwing your property up online, right? And then they want to hear what you do as your service solutions. So I don't know if a lot of you have noticed, but our BRA and our listing agreements now have a Schedule A attached, right? A lot of us are sending those off blank. We're supposed to be filling that out now. Now it's become sort of a mandatory thing of what services you're providing. So I'm trying to curate something for the office that kind of is a general that we can put in there at all times, but don't put stuff in there you're not doing, but definitely put in stuff that you think makes you special. Like you're going to check in weekly with them. You're going to follow up with all the showings they've had on the property. You're going to do this extra special social media marketing because maybe that's your forte. So start thinking about what to put in those Schedule A's because they're now mandatory to fill out for our listing agreements. And then you've done it all. Now you've got to ask for the listing. So a lot of people are really great. They might have all the research together. They have the CMA together. But I find that when I've shadowed a lot of agents, the biggest pitfall is you don't ask for the close, right? They don't say, they sort of just give all the information and they put it in the hands. After all that work, you put it in the hands of your client. And then the client sort of goes, oh yeah, well, okay, that's really great. You know, like, let me think about it and I'll call you back tomorrow or next week. You have to ask, right? So normally, I know Cheryl's old giggles, I just start taking out the paperwork. Once I feel like I've done my job and I've explained everything, I don't even really have a hard close where I ask for the listing. I just start taking out the FinTrack and I'll say, okay, do you guys have your license? I need a copy of your ID. And we start filling out the paperwork while we're still talking. That's my close. If that doesn't work, it's not always working. Sometimes you'll find the client will go, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to fill out the paperwork yet. Then maybe you need to do a little more work with them and push a little bit more. But try it next time, guys, because I think it's pretty slick because I know that I do a good job. I do good research. I brought them all the information they need. I've told them how I'm going to market the property. Just start pulling out the paperwork and start filling it out. It's a nice soft close. Okay. See if it works for you guys. Hello. So the FinTrack form is the one you have to fill with their ID and everything, right? So if I'm sitting down physically in front of somebody and I finished my CMA, I've done my listing presentation, my close is always, I just start pulling out, I have my folder ready with all my listing paperwork. You guys should always bring your listing paperwork, even if you think there's no chance that they're signing up today. Hello, good morning. You should always bring your listing paperwork, and I just sort of bring my FinTrack out and I ask for the ID and I start filling it out. I'll say, oh, do you have a copy? Do you have your driver's license or whatever you have? And they say, yeah, no problem. And I pull it out and we start filling it out. Then the next thing I'll start filling out is the listing agreement. If they let me fill a FinTrack out, then I know, okay, we're on the road to filling out the listing paperwork now. So try it. I think it's a good close. I think it works. Sorry? It's not sneaky. I know I don't feel it's sneaky because I feel like I've given you all the information. It's not like I've just come in and I'm trying to get you to sign blindly. I've told you, you know, this is what I think your house can sell for. I've told you what the market is. You know what I mean? I told you how I'm going to advertise. I've told you maybe all the sales I've done in your neighborhood recently. I feel I've given you enough information that it's not, I don't feel it's sneaky. You know, I've given you good information. It's a good close. Just try it.
Better than asking like, can I have your ID?
Yeah, exactly. Or you say, you know, you ready to sign the paperwork now? A lot of people won't say yes right away, right? They'll go, and then you have to do a little convincing, right? Sometimes you have to close more than once in an appointment. Just because somebody says no right away, you might have to try and close a second or a third time. You know what I mean? Sometimes you might say to them, well, what information is it that you need more than what I've given you? Well, I don't know. I have to think about it. Okay, what is it you're thinking about? Well, you know, I just thought that maybe I'd get more because I just renovated my kitchen and you're saying I can only get this. Okay, so what is your motivation to sell now? Okay, they might say, well, I really need to move. I got a job and I have to move by November. And I'll say, okay, well, the average days on market right now is 19 or whatever my research is done. Now, if you take 19 days to sell, then you have to turn around and you have to look to buy. I think that that's really cutting it short for November. So if you're going to overprice what the median prices of your neighborhood, you're going to stay longer on the market, and that's not going to match your motivation. So what really means more to you, that extra 20 or 30,000 you want for the kitchen renovation, or to be moved and settled in time? And it's okay, whatever their motivation is, that's okay. If they say, no, I can commute but I really want that extra 30,000 for the property. Okay, we'll try the price. We'll let it sit up. If you're not getting showings or if you're not getting offers, then we'll revisit this in a week or two, right? We'll revisit this price, but we'll try your price, right? But if their motivation is, no, I have to be there, there's no way I can commute 3 hours back and forth to Windsor for my job. Okay, then I suggest that you go more with the market price, because that's what's going to keep you that less days on the market, right?
This thing is so good. It's, I think my. Because I was in. I've only done my doing. Outside. She went and all prepared, nice folder, like you get $2, minus $4, you print it off. And you put on like those pages, the food through, and then she walked in. I wasn't expecting it. I think we're almost getting that list tonight.
Thank you. I hope so. Keep on following up. He's in the middle of doing renovations and his kitchen cabinets got delayed. So I don't know. We'll hope and see.
Like it might not work for one time, but if you do like one, sure.
And like I say, she has a good point. It might not work the first time you guys try it, but you guys got to keep on. I want to do a little bit of role playing right now, because I want, the more you practice it, the better it is, because you know what to say, right? When people throw up these objections. So let me just go on to our objection handling a little bit here now. Because I want to get into it with you guys to figure out here. Oops. So we want to figure out the most common objections that we get. This isn't my regular sheet that we're going to use, but we'll go over with some. Like my better. There's a few different people that we follow. Like we know there's the Mike Ferries of the universe, and then there's the Rob Vivians of the universe. Sorry? I tend to stick to Rob Vivian more just because I like his style, but it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. So we're going to go over here.
It's more realistic.
I just find he's got a, not as aggressive approach. I'm not an aggressive salesperson. I don't know. I find I have the softer approach. That's why I like the softer closes, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's whatever your style is. So like I keep on saying, when you have scripts and dialogues, you're going to read it like we're going to read it now. Okay. But then when we go to role play, try to use your own words, because this is the guts of what you have to say in order to close. But if you don't say it the way you would say it, then it's not going to sound genuine, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll give you an example. They always say that you have to repeat what the objection is, okay? Approve what they're saying. So never use a negative word, okay? So I always say, for instance, if someone says to you, can you cut your commission? I never say no, because that's all your client hears. Can you cut your commission? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to speak to you about that during my listing presentation. We'll be speaking about that. I'll show you in the presentation. I mean, they heard yeah, but I'm not going to cut my commission, right? But you don't say no. Okay, ever practice this in your sales for your listing appointments for all your clients. Don't use a negative word because that's all they hear first, right? So they always say the best way to overcome objections is to repeat, approve, and then build your bridge. So I'm going to repeat what my client says. I'm going to say something in approval, something that's, not a negative comment, and then I'm going to build a bridge, how I can fix that between what you're saying and what I want, right? So here they're saying we're going to relist with the same realtor. So, okay, you're thinking about relisting with the same realtor. I understand. Thanks for sharing that with me, right? Can I make a suggestion? Right now you feel that the same realtor is your best bet. Would you like to be certain? I'm merely suggesting a second opinion. Does that make sense? Can I be that second opinion? Okay, so we get this all the time. We're going to relist with the same realtor. I know a realtor, my cousin's a realtor, whatever the case may be, right? So basically at the end of the day, if I were doing this, I'd say, oh my God, that's great. Your cousin's a realtor. That's perfect. I would love to give you a second opinion and let you know what I think your home is worth. There's no harm in getting a second opinion to see if, they're on the mark. When I come in and I try and give the listing presentation to them, right? So we're going to pretend we're on the phone and we're trying to close this appointment because you're not closing appointments on the phone. You're trying to get in front of that person. That's when they're going to close with you. No one ever calls you and says, hi, I want to list my house. You say, okay, great. I'm going to send you the paperwork. You always have to try. Your objection is to try to get in front of that person, right? So who wants to be my first client and my first realtor? We'll just do pairs. We'll just start off. You guys can do Shiraz. You're going to be the client and Bilkis can be the realtor. Okay. So you're going to tell her that you know somebody that you're going to relist the same person. It's okay. You're not going to use anybody different. Right. So try and call. Ring, ring. No, you don't need it. That's what I say. This is the place to get out these heebie-jeebies and be like, oh my God, what do I say? Because here it doesn't matter, but when you're on the phone, that's what it matters. So the next time you're on the phone, you're going to say, oh, I remember when I role played and it was like hard and embarrassing. We're only among our colleagues now. Who cares? You want to close it later, right? So you got to ring, 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 Shiraz. You could do it, Bilkis.
For this home, which home do you want next?
999 Grove Street.
Oh, that's all right. Okay, awesome. How can I help you?
Are you a realtor or I'm a realtor?
You're the realtor.
Oh, I'm the
You're the one who left my house. You called me.
So I know your name is Mr. Smith.
Okay, yes.
Hi, Mr. Smith. I saw like. Are you thinking of relisting your home?
Yes, I am. And I also know a real time who lives in the same house.
Oh, okay. Can I make a suggestion if you don't mind?
Sure.
Right now, you feel the same realtor is your best bet, right?
Absolutely.
Would you like to be certain?
Yes.
I'm merely suggesting a second opinion. Does that make sense?
I'm open to second opinion. Sure.
Okay, so this won't take long. I just need 20 minutes of your time. Would
Well, I don't have time now. Right?
don't worry.
Sorry.
Would Sunday morning 12 p.m. be okay?
Oh, no, Sunday I'm going to call.
Okay, no worries. Monday morning 12.
Well, yeah, you have two options at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one day at full work, or Tuesday at 3, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, sure, Monday works.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna come and meet you on Monday, and then
I'll see you then. Great. So they did something else further. So we were talking about the repeat, approve, build a bridge. That was a really good. You can tell they sat for training before because you never tell them, okay, when's a good time to meet? It's a horrible way to close on the phone. They'll say, oh, I don't know. Let me think about it. Whatever. We're going to give two options. We're going to say, okay, great. I'm going to come give you a second opinion. Would Tuesday at 2 p.m. work or Wednesday at 12? right? Then they'll go, they have to pick one, right? So that's the best way. That was good. That was very good. So we'll go on to, will you reduce your commission? Okay. So we'll read this real quick and we'll try to practice it. So your question is, will I reduce the commission? When you approve it. Great question. I certainly hear that a lot. Can I make a suggestion? I've made a note of that question, and that will be one of the first items we discuss when I see you. Okay. This will work some of the time, but not all of the time. Sometimes you can't get that person off the phone unless you talk about commission. But I try to not talk price of the home or commission ever on the phone, or you're never going to get in front of that person, right? So I totally understand why you brought up the commission again. Can I share something else with you? In order for me to assess my value and make an informed decision, I need to show you my complete marketing plan. That way you can properly assess my value. I can't do that over the phone. I promise we'll discuss the commission in detail when I see you. What would be the best time for us to get together? Tuesday at 2 or Thursday at 1, right? So you see, the objection is, I'm not answering you on the phone. I want to sit down in front of you. I'm not talking price. Even if people are pressing, I might say, even if I know the average price of their building that I'm going to, I might say, you know what? I'm just going to check and see what's sold in the last few days and find out exactly precisely what the price is going to be. So you want me to come by on Tuesday or on Thursday, right? I'm going to try to get off that phone and not answer these questions. Otherwise, you're not going to get to sit in front of them. So someone's asking you, will you reduce your commission? Who wants to go now? Yama and Sri, there you go. Who you guys can choose who's the agent and who's not.
Can I reduce your commission?
I hear this question a lot. I definitely talk more in detail when I meet you.
Okay, can you tell me how much you can?
No, I just wanted to come and show you a presentation, what are my values are, and what are the marketing presentation or marketing things I'm gonna be doing for you, so that you can take informed decision. So we'll be available for next week sometime between Thursday or Saturday.
Okay. Let's do Saturday.
Okay, Saturday 4 p.m. is okay for you?
Maybe in the morning?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good, very good.
I jumped.
That's okay. That's okay. There's more too, because we go over this objection lightly to get in front. We kind of have another one that we use, and I'll just skip past it here. The other realtor said they would charge less. So this one is commission based as well. And I love this one because I find this one really works a lot. So the other realtor said they charge less. Is that correct? That's a really good point. Thanks for mentioning that. Can I tell you why this makes me concerned? If the other realtor is willing to sacrifice their money so quickly, I'm a little concerned how they treat you when your equity is on the table. Have you considered that? So I don't always word it like this. I find it a little too technical for people that don't catch it. I always say, if that other realtor cannot fight for their own value, how do you expect them to fight for the value of your property? Right? A lot of people think about that at the end of the day. You say you're worried about saving a few $1,000s in commission when I know that I'm a tough negotiator and I can take your value much higher than most realtors. I usually have record sales in the neighborhood. We have a really good record team. We sell high because we push for that. So if that guy can't defend his worth, what makes you think he's going to defend the worth of your property? I said, I'm defending myself right now, and I'll do just as good a job at the offering table. You know, when you have that bid date, I'm going to work just as hard like I'm working for myself right now. You already know I'm good at pushing up the value, right? So people think about that because they have this misnomer that we just want to hurry up and get, things sold. We just throw it up online. You want to find, they actually do want to find the people who are working harder for them and who are fighting for their equity, right? So it's good when you put it in that perspective, they really get it, right? So Ganesh, you want to try? With Raseelan, you're going to be the client? Give him a hard time.
Well, when we have an offer, we can negotiate the commission at that time.
No.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
First of all,
Or I can say like,
He will say,
I
"Oh,
will
I was-
provide you 100% service.
I
like,
was expecting to sell
Exactly.
1.2. Now you only have 1 million on the table here,
no more.
right?
between
I don't
the
want to pay
homeowner.
income, shall do your house instead, how's that?
Mhm.
Then you
But
would
not
stop.
only that, technically, we're not really allowed to play around like that. Like, we have to have our documents signed ahead of time, right? Yeah, well, that's all usually for for the co-op it's listed on the MLS. So it's better to get it all sorted out ahead of time, right? Just because like everybody says it's gonna be a war. That's why we sign contracts ahead of time, right? So it's a good way to get into trouble. Rasila, you ready to give him a hard time?
What do we do? You don't know.
If we're secret agents, we're never gonna get these listings. You gotta go there. Cause right now we're just in a friendly room. So you shouldn't be shy or care, right? Like I always said to people, like, get on the phones, get hung up on, laugh about it. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't be embarrassing. You shouldn't worry about it.
And now is a good time, especially now people with less. Present. Are going to be, because the market is better and better.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm sure a lot of you, since I've been here a while and have heard me train, you hear the story about how I lost, not lost the listing, but I called the guy and he hung up on me. And then I realized my colleague got it. And I said, why'd you give the colleague the listing? And he goes, well, I hung up on him too, but he called back. So I've always been in the habit now when people hang up, I call back and I go, oh, I'm sorry. Did we just get disconnected? I'll tell you guys this is first a story purposely so you don't feel embarrassed. So what was it? Shiraz, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? I'm in the middle of doing my cold calling and calling, and someone hung up on me. And so I did my regular call back, and most of the time it works or they don't answer or something. So I call back and I said, hi, I'm sorry, I think we just got disconnected. And she laid into me. She was like, I hung up on you. Why are you calling me back? And I was like, oh, okay. A lot of people won't admit they hung up on you, right? Because they're embarrassed when you call back. That's why it works, right? But she fully was like, I hung up on you. Why are you calling me back? I got off the phone and I laughed. I laughed. You can't care about it. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? What's it doing to us? Nothing. Can't be shy or embarrassed about anything when we're doing this, right? So who wants to defend their commission worth? Rasila, you're the client. You only have to give them a hard time. You don't have to do the hard part. Okay, fine. Ganesh, I'll make sure I'll give you a hard time. He's good at doing that.
But
Yeah, give him the. So you're just gonna say, he's gonna say, hey, the other agents, all the other agents say they're gonna do it for less, or everyone does it for 1%. And then you just have to say to them, like, if they're not defending their own worth, how do you expect them to defend the worth of your property?
I have other realtors who approach me, they'll give me less commission.
That's good, it's nice to hear, but, like, they explain to you, like, what they're gonna do for your property? Like,
Yeah,
are they
they're
gonna-
gonna market it and sell it, no problem.
Are they gonna stage it, are they gonna, do an open house?
Yes, they're gonna do open house on the weekends. Stage it nice. Yeah, all the Facebook marketing, all kinds of marketing. Send flyers.
And, we have, good people.
So you just have to say to him at this point, say, that's really great. So they're doing all the same things, but they're not defending their worth. Like, I know for a fact that I'm going to do all these things. I do the marketing, I do the open house, I do everything. But I know that because I take so much time to do that, I know I'm defending my worth. It concerns me if they're not defending their worth, how are they going to defend the worth of the value of your property? It doesn't seem to me that they're a very good negotiator if they can't fend for themselves, right? If you give up your worth so easy, you know what I mean? People value, we got to stop being scared. I keep on saying this over and over again, but I just find it so funny being a realtor, right? Because you don't find a surgeon or a lawyer who goes to a firm, or a surgeon that goes to the hospital and says, you know what? I'll work for less than that surgeon. They're always defending their worth. They're like, oh, you know what? I'm a lawyer and I've won so many cases. And I think that if you want me to be in your firm, that I should be paid more, right? Everybody's defending their worth out there, right? Unless you know that you're the guy who, just throws it up and forgets about the listing, fine. But at the end of the day, we're all working really hard. I know how we are. I talk to all of you. I've got a listing up. I didn't get showings. I'm stressing. I didn't get any offers yet. We know that we're working for those people, even they can't see that physically. We know that we're always thinking about a way to sell that property, right? We don't get paid if we don't sell the property, right? So We gotta defend our worth. We gotta bring that more into our industry. We can't be these 1%. The more of us that are the 1%ers, the more our industry will fade and people won't appreciate our worth when we know how hard we're working, right? So,
Can you ask a question to the clients? Mr. Smith may ask what your other realtor is doing for you if you don't mind in terms of listing.
Yeah, you can ask.
yeah, you can. And he kind of did that. He was like, is your agent doing open houses? Is your agent doing this, whatever the case may be, right? So, Yeah.
If you have this agent in that area, you can say here, like, this is how much I sold, like, I sold,
absolutely.
a few houses on the same street, and how about your client, how about your?
Yeah.
realtor?
So I try not to like to say bad things about the other person, but I definitely say stuff like I have a good record or whatever, but don't only not, I always make mention during my trainings that don't forget, it's not only listings that you sold, you can use the whole brokerage. We have 180 agents here now. We're 180 agents strong. Remax Ace probably has a good presence in whatever your farm market is that you're trying to get your listing in, right? Doesn't matter where.
That worked for me yesterday,
Yeah.
because I was-
Mhm.
And he said, okay, well, you don't really have a buyer, you're just saying, what if it's the process? Like, Mr. Kyle, it's not that I'm the only realtor who has a bunch of buyers. We are 150 realtors in our properties, and there are 2 builders who are already realtors that are working with us, so if you want. Options. Or like, talk to those realtors and bring a buyer for you, so it's like, then he started talking.
Mhm.
So never underestimate the brokerage you're working at, right?
Yeah.
Always highlight what's in our, things.
Yeah.
We have marketers, just think about my marketer. And we have a face on that who is a builder, so they're all within the same umbrella, and people, whoa, they're, when the guy started talking, I was like, oh, okay, that's working. So,
I put the strength of the brokerage right into our CMA. I'm sure you guys have seen me go over it. I can do it next week for training now because I haven't done the CMA in a while. But I always talk about why choose Remax, why choose me. And in there I say that we have 180 agents working in many different, things in your neighborhood. Look up and see what current listings we have in the neighborhood for the listing appointment that you're going to, or what we've sold recently in the area, right? So even if it's not you don't have to ask permission to advertise or talk about listings that are in your own brokerage. It's the same umbrella. So you can look and you can use that in your listing appointment, right?
and you can also look at past listings and how they've been sold, how they've been established, the price. Because most of my realtors, that's will all. I listed like 330 in Cullen, and there are about 6 listings in that building. And nobody stayed to the property like that,
Mhm.
and nobody held an open house. So where did I get that from? Definitely Christine, Siraz, we have Julia, all the listings that come up, and Usman. I just asked them, hey, what do I do? What do I do? Now, what do I do? What's next? How do I make this listing more price?
You have to really scrutinize. It's not just the history. She makes a good point, right? Because we did the same thing. We just sold a townhouse in Oshawa. If you look there on 2486 Steeplechase, and we were kind of nervous because every which way you look, there was 2 for sale down the street that way. Another one, like basically one house away. Was it right next door or one house away? And then you look in that pocket, there's so many and they're all sitting. And we were like, how are we going to pull this off? These are repeat clients. They're like, oh, we know you guys can do it. We're like, okay, fine, no problem. And we get in the car right home and we're like, oh my God, there's so many listings. Like, what is going on? Right. So you have to look very carefully. Who are you? They're your competition as far as you're concerned, because you want your listing sold. You don't care about the other realtor's listing sitting, right? So that's why I always tell people I look very precisely what price they're listed at, right? I know what the history of sales are. I always tell my clients, don't worry about the listed price. It doesn't always drive what your final price is, right? You want to list so you draw more people in. More people in the door means more pocket of people that you can pull from to get an offer, right? What are they doing? Is everybody staging? Is everybody not staging? Check and see what's happening in that little pocket. Are they offering less commission? Is it a pocket where a lot of the agents are offering 2.25, right? I'm gonna make sure I offer the full, I'm gonna advise my sellers, look at this will get more people in the door if you offer the full commission, right? So whatever the case may be, there's a bunch of different factors that you can look at to make your listing push a little bit harder than the other ones. And then we ended up selling within a week. Thank God. But- Closing today.
Sometimes I read the listing and don't worry about the ad work. I still don't know how some of these are. Listing was like, this is wrong, you need to redo this. But I never hesitate, okay, I can do it, I have a team with me. So last year, I listed one property and I was not confident. I thought I'm not gonna even get a 1 million. So I had a buyer saying, okay, give me this house for $1 million. I was like, no, I'm not gonna give you because it's just not fair for my buyer considering he might be my family member, but I think I have to market it to everybody. So this way, we get up here for everybody, that's what we're supposed to do. And then we listed. So we delivered about 400 offers. We did about 4 open houses.
Mhm.
We weren't giving it out in a particular state. The listing and, we sold it within 8 days.
Yay, that's a good story.
I wasn't even expecting 1.1 and I didn't even tell my seller, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. It's good not to overpromise. Nobody's gonna complain if you sell a listing for more at the end of the day. That's why I always, one of the things I say in my CMA is I'll never lie to you. If you say I want 1.2, I'll never lie and say I don't feel, I feel, oh yeah, sure, no problem, I'll sell it 1.2. Because nobody will care. If I say, no, I feel it's really worth 1.1 and I sell for more, nobody's gonna complain. But when you tell your client, oh yeah, no problem, 1.2, 1.2, and then it doesn't sell and it sits on the market, that's where you're gonna run into trouble and you're gonna lose the listing.
Even before the listing comes up, and trust me, like, you're gonna make the client happy.
The more work you put into it at the end of the day, the better it's gonna be, right? Like I say, don't be that person that fills out the paperwork, hands it to front desk, the listing gets loaded and you just wait. Like what are they paying you for commission for at the end of the day, right? You have to make sure you're putting that effort in to your listing. So I want to just go over this because are any of you guys calling for sale by owners? Good. Okay, they're a really good, excellent way to call. Like if you guys aren't calling for sale, if you see a for sale by owner and you're a realtor, you drive by without taking a picture or jotting down a number, I don't know what you guys are doing because for sale by owners are not a cold call, right? They are a warm lead. You know they want to sell. They have a sign on their lawn. So what more do they want? And 99% of for sale by owners get converted. They're not selling privately themselves, private person to private person. They're either bringing an agent in to come. What is this?
This is how the other realtor chase FSBO, so you can go
Okay.
over it.
Okay, cool. I'll copy and paste that to me or send me a screenshot. So yeah, so they're even if they are selling on their own, they have the buyer coming in with an agent, right? So we gotta go over the script. Well, I guess we'll go over it first quick and then we'll talk about it. So they're saying, just bring us a buyer and we'll pay you 3%. So if you're calling for sale by owners, this is a common thing for them to say. They think in their mind, I don't want to pay commission. Maybe I'll pay like half extra than I would. I know most likely I'm going to be paying co-op because somebody's coming with a buyer, with a buyer agent, but I don't really want to pay the list as well. So you know what? If you bring me a buyer, I'll give you 3%. I guarantee you call FSBOs today, call any for sale by owners you see today, and they'll give you that answer. And it's such a misnomer, right? So I always say, okay, if I bring you a buyer, you'll pay me 3%. Is that correct? I say, yeah. Okay, thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Can I make a suggestion? I would love to be in a position to speak intelligently to my buyers about your property. So I'm trying to come in to see. When would be the best time for me to preview your home? Tuesday or Thursday? Okay. In addition to this, I always find what really works with for sale by owners is I always say to them, you're going to pay me 3%. Yeah. Great. So you're paying 2.5% to the buyer to be represented, properly represented in this transaction. One of the biggest transactions you're going to make in your life, right? What other things do we buy that are over $1 million generally? Not a lot of things happen, right? So I say you're going to pay 2.5 or 3%. You're going to pay more than the going price to that buyer agent because the average is 2.5. Yeah, if you bring me a buyer, I'll pay you 3. You're not investing anything to have yourself represented. You know, I'm used to these documents. I'm used to the clauses. I'm used to the legalese. I'm used to catching things. I'm used to making sure that you're protected. You're technically giving me 0.5 extra to come. If you, now these are people who are hard to pull a little more than 1% out of, but I usually say to them, just add another 0.5 and I'll represent you as your listing agent for 1%. You won't invest that extra 0.5 in yourself in one of the biggest transactions of your life. Like, you know what I mean? They kind of like realize the silly thing they're doing. I'm paying you as a buyer agent more than when you purchase on MLS for you to totally represent the buyer, but I'm not represented at all. You're silly. You're throwing extra money for nothing, right? They're just got it stuck in their head that they're saving money on the listing side, and they don't realize that they're not represented at all in the transaction, right?
The other thing is like you can say, I have a few buyers, you know, if they come and see the property, they will like, let's say, it's gonna sit on the market, right?
Exactly.
They put it on the MLS.
Yeah.
All the buyers in Toronto will know that your property is out there.
Precisely.
You
Yeah.
most likely get more money.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know,
Another excellent point. I don't know if you guys heard that online, what he was saying there. We were saying that I might be working with 3 or 4 buyers right now. But if I put it on MLS, there's how many thousands and thousands of realtors all working with buyers. You're more likely going to pull more people in the door. Whenever you pull more people in the door, you push up your price to the maximum price, right? Because instead of my 5 buyers, maybe 1 offer you might get. Now out of all the agents, they bring in 20, 30 showings, you might have 3 or 4 people fighting over the property. That's going to push up your price. So definitely something good to think about. Definitely. Are you guys gonna try this one? I wanted you guys to practice a little more today instead of just talking. Let's try this last one. Who's gonna try it out? Okay, who do you look? Pick a partner. Pick Bilkis. You're fine. You're fine. You're good. Okay, you want to be the client? Then you can give her a hard time. You don't have to be shy. So ring, you're gonna call her, you're gonna say, hi, I see you have however you approach your for sale by owner when you call them.
Hi, how are you? Nice to be on the 9th floor suite. Yes, it's big. Okay, great. I see you have a listing on for sale by owner. Is that correct? Now, if I bring you a buyer, you would pay 3%. Is that correct? Okay. Bring the buyer, no problem. Okay. Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. However, can I make a suggestion? Okay. I would love to speak to you in person and how we can put more buyers to your property. Well, is it okay if I meet you on Wednesday at 2 or Thursday at 3? Okay, how about Thursday at 3? Okay, great. I'll see you then.
Very good, very good. So the only thing is you mentioned the 3%. I wouldn't say anything about 3% unless the client brought it up. I wouldn't talk about it. Like I say, don't bring up commission talk.
4.5.
Sorry?
Usually
It's 2.5 on MLS, right? But when you call it for sale by owner, so the biggest thing is you want to ask them if they're cooperating. Most of them know that they have to cooperate. Because it's very rare. I forget what the percentage is, but it's something really minuscule, like 1 or 2%. Sales happen private to private, right?
So it does. Same like owner doesn't work because he must be knowing so the rules and regulation. That's why he's putting on his market. And it's not the ideal case.
Or they think they know. They think they know. They're like, oh yeah.
they're first for the-
Yeah.
Mhm,
Most of the time that's.
mhm,
Oh, yeah.
mhm.
But they say that even if you say that I can be the representative as a listing agent, they can say that not the first. I'm talking on the other side.
Or you can say, you know, I have a buyer and then you bring your friend and
But
see the
that-
property.
you're gonna waste the time, but-
I don't even do that. I don't even do that. I always say, I'm working with several buyers. I want to see what your property looks like to know who I'm going to market it to, right? Because I haven't been inside your house. Maybe my person wants a fixer up, or my person wants fully renovated, or my person I don't know. So I want to come and I want to look and see, and then I can talk to my buyers who I think they might be interested in your property, right? So I go alone. I didn't even try to bring a fake buyer. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I called yesterday, said I rebuilt my property 2.8 million. And, like, if you have a serious buyer, they don't want to speak to you and all. Now he asked me, how much is your buyer right now worth? He qualified for, and he says, I was in 12, the buyer specifically I spoke to, I mean, I don't wanna lie to you.
Mhm.
And then it's like, so you don't really have a buyer for 2.8 million, and I don't speak to you. Well, don't mind me, my office is still up in the realtors, and I definitely have a buyer. For it. There was a gentleman who just sold it, that property, the other for, higher, value home. I mean, I have to speak to you regarding this, there's so much we have to go. It's like, no, I don't want to speak to you, well, you're not giving me a chance, Mr. Hussein,
Mhm.
like, how can I sell your property
Mhm.
if you're not even letting me speak, come and see the person?
Yeah, just say, I want to come and see what the condition is, and 180 or 180. Remember that. So you say, I want to come and see the condition of your property. How do I know? Like, I have 180 agents at my office. I can tell them about your property. I can speak intelligently about it. If I just come by and see your property, right? You just want to come and get in front of them,
And
right?
like,
So
okay, I'll meet you next week.
that's good. That's good. Really good. Hey, as long as you're closing, the more you see more people you see in person, the more people you're going to close. So whatever way you're pulling your leads, whether you're doing, marketing, flyers, you're online, you're doing your cold calling, you're calling for sale by owners, whatever the case may be, your end result is always to get in front of the person, right? So that's all you're trying to do with these objections. Get over the objection, get to the listing appointment. In the listing appointment, get over the objection, close it, get the listing agreement signed, right? So, because I guarantee you, a lot of people feel like, oh, they said that they didn't want to do this or that. But if you don't know how to overcome that objection, the very next person, if they're stronger closing, will get the listing. And you'll turn around and you'll say, hey, that guy lied. He said he might not want to list right now. And now it's listed. You go look up the property and it's listed. You're like, what the heck happened? It's 99% our fault because we're not overcoming the objection and we're not closing that appointment, right? So you have to practice these.
They called you because they want to sell it, because they will sell it.
Right. So one last one, I'm just gonna say, so if you're chasing terminated and expireds, which you should be, but we're technically not allowed to chase expireds. But I'm telling you, any agent out there who is getting a lot of listings is doing it. When you call them, a lot of them will say, oh, I don't know, I kind of want to keep it off the market for a little while. Like, I've been getting so many showings and it's such a hassle, whatever. To overcome this one, I usually say to them, okay, you're planning to keep it off the market for a while. Thanks for sharing that. Do you mind if I ask you a question? If you had an offer in your home the next 30 days for the right place and the right closing, would you consider it? A lot of times they say, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, well, why don't you let me market it then? I feel that I could do X, Y, Z and push your property and get you that price. If you give me the opportunity, right? Give me 15 minutes of your time. I'm going to come sit down with you. So-
Sometimes they ask you to price, how do you overcome?
That's what I say. Way overpriced is a toughie. You have to show them that you've done your research, first of all, because a lot of people just think in their head something. But when you show them, the power of information is really important. You come in and you show them these are all your neighborhood sales. When you list at the right price, you stay the average day on markets. When you list at a lower price, you're less days on market. We squeeze it down to that 1 week bid date situation. When you're overpriced, you're staying more days on the market. So you always have to sense your client's motivation. If your client's not motivated and I really want 1.2 and I just want to throw it up and see if I get it. If I don't, I can stay here another year. Probably not going to chase that person too hard for their listing unless I think like if the sales are $1 million and it's $200,000 over, it's impossible. Fine. If it's a little bit more, I use the approach where I say, okay, why don't we try? If you really feel like you can get this for your property, then we'll try it. If you don't have any showings and you don't have any offers, we have to revisit this in a week or two, right? Because I also have a reputation to uphold. Don't take listings just to get listings. I hate it when listings sit because that's your name, your sign on the lawn, and everybody's watching that property's not moving. Worst thing. So don't take listings just to take a listing and it's really truly overpriced. You try to educate your client first. If when you educate them, that you can't bring them down to agree with you and they feel very strongly about it, I sort of make this pact with them, you know? So,
But still, if we hook up with them first.
yeah,
Without any argue.
yeah.
Just, okay, overpricing, and then gradually we can like more.
That's what I say. If they're really stuck on their price, like, don't lose the listing if it's not crazy. Like, I mean, if it's crazy off, I might go, it's not gonna sell for this. But like, if, you know, I think the sales are, they really can't get more than 1.15. And they want 1.2. And I'm like, look, nobody got over 1.15, you know, but you're nicely renovated. Maybe someone will fall in, I don't know. And I'm thinking these things in my head. I'll say, okay, if you really feel that your property is worth this, even though I've shown you nothing in this neighborhood has hit that sale.
Yeah.
That's fine, not a problem. We will put it up, but no offers, no showings. We revisit.
Okay.
We'll come
Yeah.
back. You have to promise me I can come back and talk to you in a week or two.
Yeah.
And then I'll have that conversation with them. Like, if it's truly overpriced, you know, it'll just sit. So you gotta call and say, hey, we've been up for a week and a half now. We haven't had a single showing. I think it's time to go back to that conversation where we tried your strategy, right? But I always warn my clients too. I say, you know what? We can do it, but there's the danger that your listing is gonna go a little stale. Because when you first put that listing online, it has that burst of energy, that excitement. That's why you have to make sure that when you first list it, you're using the right strategy. It's a little stressful, but you want to make sure you're doing the correct thing, right? So I would tell my client, you know, I don't feel this is the correct way. We might make your listing a little stale, but if you're insisting, we can list it at the 1.2, but we're going to talk in a week and a half and try to change up our strategy. But I always try to tell them it's a shame because we're going to ruin that newness of the listing when it first goes up and all the excitement we should be getting, right? So,
So I had a guy who actually showed a property to a buyer. He said he didn't take a offer. Well, they took an offer 570.
Mhm.
It was listed for 499. And the mortgage was conditional, so they dropped. The thing my buyer was interested and we gave him. And I did, it was the firm offer. And, the
first
seller-
offer is usually the best
No,
offer too.
I'm not done.
Our clients
He
don't think
ended up
so.
Selling that property to somebody else for 10.
That's what I'm saying. First offer is usually the best offer. Hands down. It just is. So gotta warn our clients about that. I just want to check on you guys online. How's everybody doing?
Kristen, can you print those?
Yeah, I can print them, no problem. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can print them for you guys.
Advantage of coming to business.
Practice at home.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys go online. You have a lovely week. Call me or text me if you need anything. Get some listings.
Bye, Christine.
Bye. Have a good morning.
That's it.
Good morning.
Bye-bye.
Not with that.